Thank you to everyone joining. We're just going to give it another minute before getting started. Okay, I think we can get started as a few people continue to come in. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. I apologize if my background is coming in backwards. It doesn't want to update within this webinar. So I am Elizabeth Sipek. I'm a health program specialist with the National Institutes of Neurological Disorders and Stroke, working with the HEAL Initiative. And I'm joined today by Dr. D.P. Mohapatra, Program Director within NINDS and HEAL. And we'll be introducing the HEAL K99 R00 Postdoctoral-to-Independent Career Transition Awards in Pain and Substance Use Disorder. Next slide, please. Just to note that this webinar is being recorded, and the recording and slides will be made available on the NIH HEAL website and shared with all the registered attendees. Please use the Q&A box to post all questions throughout the webinar, and they'll be addressed at following the presentation. Today we'll be focusing on mechanism and process questions. If you have specific questions about your scientific, about your science and your research, we can address those later. Next slide, please. The NIH Scale Initiative, the Helping End Addiction Long-Term Initiative, was launched in 2018 to address the nation's opioid crisis. It's an all-hands-on-deck approach to address directly opioid misuse and addiction, as well as the pain underlying the reliance on opioids. Research supported spans institutes and centers across NIH, and the 12 ICs participating in this funding opportunity are listed on this slide. So your research does not need to fall within the mission of NINDS. It's very broadly focused. Next slide, please. The goal of this K99 is to increase the independent investigator workforce conducting pain and opioid use disorder research, and to enhance the diversity of the workforce in areas supported by the NIH Scale Initiative. It's a phased award, starting with a 1 to 2 year K99 mentored phase, which provides postdoctoral research training and career development, followed by up to 3 years of independent research support within the R00, which is contingent on satisfactory progress during the K99 and accepting an approved tenure track or equivalent faculty position. Next slide, please. There are 4 notices of funding opportunity associated with this program, or NOFOs, as I'll refer to them. 2 of which do not allow independent clinical trials, and 2 that require basic experimental studies in humans or BESH trials, which I'll touch on later. Each of these types has a specific NOFO to promote diversity, which we'll also discuss. Next slide, please. For the funding opportunities 022 and 025, you're not allowed to lead an independent clinical trial. However, you are permitted to propose a research experience in a clinical trial led by a mentor or co-mentor as a form of research career development. If you do want to propose an independent clinical trial, we're only accepting basic experimental studies with humans or BESH trials for RFA NS 22023 and 024. These are studies in humans that seek to understand fundamental aspects of phenomenon without specific applications, such as a candidate therapeutic going towards phase 0 or phase 1 clinical trials. If you're unsure if your research or study qualifies as a clinical trial, there's a useful tool on the NIH website to answer a few questions to determine where your research falls. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, for both independent clinical trial not allowed and BESH trial required, there are specific funding opportunities aimed to promote diversity. The NIH Scale Initiative understands the importance of a diverse workforce in effectively addressing the opioid crisis, and there's a large loss of talent from the postdoctoral training to junior faculty position levels, and that's most heavily seen in underrepresented groups. So institutions are encouraged to identify candidates who will enhance diversity on a national basis. These are individuals who are from underrepresented racial and ethnic groups, individuals with disabilities, and individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds. You can learn more about these different groups in Notice OD 20-031. Next slide, please. In terms of eligibility, for all of the awards, for all 4 NOFOs, there is a requirement of a basic or clinical doctoral degree, like a PhD or an MD, and to be in a mentored postdoctoral training position or an equivalent. If you achieve independence during the course of your application or previously held an independent position or many forms of independent funding, you would not be eligible for this award. There is no citizenship requirement for the standard NOFOs 022 and 023. However, US citizenship or permanent residency is required for the diversity NOFOs of 024 and 025. And for all 4 announcements, you can have no more than 48 months or 4 years of postdoctoral research experience at both new submission or resubmission. And we require at least 12 months of additional training. And of course, there are exceptions for family and medical leave, military service, and clinical time that you can discuss with program staff. Next slide, please. Now, these timelines are particularly important for K99 awards. If you see here on our application due dates, we have application due dates through February 2025. However, it takes about 9 months from application to the earliest start date of a K99 to allow for review and council approval. And since we do require 12 months of training from the start of that K99, applicants are strongly encouraged to apply in their 3rd year of their postdoc in order to have sufficient time to start and receive that training. Next slide, please. In terms of salary and research support, the K99 phase of this award provides a salary of up to $75,000 per year, and this would be consistent with your institutional salaries, and with additional salary available for clinical degree holders with license to practice. It also provides fringe benefits and indirect costs, and up to $20,000 in research support costs to cover things like equipment, tuition for training courses, as well as travel to conferences and meetings. For the R00 phase, there's a total cost allowed of up to $249,000 per year, and this is all inclusive of all costs, including salary, fringe benefits, any research costs, and indirect costs at your institution's rate. And for the duration of both the K99 and the R00, candidates are required to devote 75% of full-time effort, so 9 person months, to research and career development activities in the K99, and to research activities within the R00. And if you have specific questions about generating your budget, individuals at your institution would be appropriate to answer those. Next slide, please. Before beginning your application, we encourage you all to step back and really define your career goals and your research interests. Perform a skills gap analysis just as you would perform a knowledge gap analysis, and outline the techniques and skills and relationships necessary for you to achieve your specific career goals and your specific research plan. You'll want to build that training plan tailored to your needs and assess what guidance and mentorship you would be needing in order to achieve those goals. Next slide, please. For the application itself, you must follow all of the guidance in the application guide and the specific NOFO. Here I have listed many of the main components and their page numbers. However, this is not all inclusive of everything required. So please review that application guide for K awards that I will send out a link with when I send out these slides. And a large portion of this application is included in this 12-page limit candidate information and goals for career development and research strategy. And I'll talk about those features a little bit more in detail. Next slide, please. Within the candidate section, we really want to understand and see your commitment to the goals of the HEAL initiative, conducting pain or substance use disorder research, and understand your potential for success as an independent investigator. We want to see logical progression from your previous research experience and training through the proposed research and training for your K99 and through the independent R00 phase. We want you to strongly justify the need for further mentoring in that K99 phase, and also include a plan for clear separation from your mentor when you do achieve independence. Your plan for training must be specific to you and your individual goals, including the specific training necessary, addressing the gaps that exist in your own background. And it's helpful to include a timeline with milestones for evaluating progress during the mentored phase and for your transition. Next slide, please. Your research plan should span both the K99 and the R00 phases. We understand that you're going to have a less concrete plan for your R00. However, it must be presented in sufficient detail to allow the reviewers to evaluate merit, and this is something that can be updated during the transition. You'll want to state the significance, innovation, and approach of your proposed research with very detailed rationale, experimental approach, and alternative outcomes for your proposed studies. We want you to comment not only on the rigor of the prior research that you're basing your hypotheses on, but also use a rigorous approach in your own studies, ensuring robust and unbiased research, and address all relevant biological variables such as sex, if you're including vertebrate animals or human subjects. And again, it's always important to highlight the relationship between your research and your mentors and emphasize what you are able to take with you onto independence. Next slide, please. It's critical that you establish a mentor or mentoring team with the appropriate expertise and experience and ability to guide you in the specific training that you need for your career goals. You will include these qualifications of your mentors and detailed mentoring plans for how they will facilitate your transition. You should show that this is the appropriate group of individuals for your future. Biosketches are required for any mentors or co-mentors. Additionally, you can provide letters of support from collaborators or members of an advisory committee outlining their specific roles and contributions to your training. These are not the same as letters of reference. You will also need to provide additional separate letters of reference from individuals not directly involved with the proposal. And again, make sure you're following all of the guidance in the SF424 application guide and the specific NOFO that you're applying to. Next slide, please. When we receive your application, all applications will be reviewed by pain and substance use disorder experts who will assess the overall impact based on scored criteria of the candidate, your career development plan and mentoring plan, your research plan, the makeup of your mentor, co-mentor, consultants, and other contributors, as well as your environment and the institutional commitment to the candidate. Particularly for those diversity NOFOs, we need to see that the institute itself is dedicated to promoting diversity in the workforce. There are additional criteria that may contribute to the score, such as protections for human subjects if you're providing a clinical trial, and as well as additional review criteria that are not scored but will be looked at. Next slide, please. If you are awarded a K99, the transition to the R00 is intended to be continuous. However, it's not automatic. You do need to be offered and accept a tenure tracker equivalent appropriate position before the end of your K99 period. And that independent phase institution will submit an application on your behalf, which is outlined in the NOFO and will include an updated research proposal for your R00, budget information, items like that. And then the awarding IC, the one that is holding your application, and the HEAL program team will review the transition materials. And in your R00 phase, you are expected to commit 75% effort or 9 person months to research activities, but that does not need to be only to the R00 research. You can conduct other research activities during that time as well. And we encourage you to reach out to program staff about 9 months prior to your, 6 months prior to your transition to avoid delays. You can discuss your potential faculty positions, the appropriateness, and if they are adequate for allowing the transition. We're always happy to discuss at any point during your application or award. Next slide, please. So moving forward, we can assist with evaluating the fit of your proposal for the HEAL K99 program goals and determining the appropriate IC to hold your award. You can send us your biosketch and your specific aims. You can contact myself, Elizabeth Zipek, or Dr. DP Mohapatra, and see the specific NOFOs linked here, which also link to the application guide and the additional materials that you would need. Next slide. And here we also have the program contacts from some of the specific ICs that are participating. If you know your research falls within the mission of one of these institutes, you are more than welcome to reach out to them directly with questions about your scientific proposal. And if at any point you're not sure who to contact or you have a general question, my email is here as well. So thank you. Next slide. So now we'll open up to Q&A. And address any more concerns or questions that you have. And we'll leave the timeline up here with the upcoming receipt dates for your reference. And again, these slides will all be sent to you, so you'll have this for reference in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Elizabeth. We have already received one question. So the question is, the description of the award provided here and in the NOFO describes SUD research and very minimally mentions opioid research. So does this mean research on SUDs of non-opioids is inappropriate here? Should I still apply if I study, for instance, alcohol or cannabis use disorders? Elizabeth, do you want to answer that? Yeah.
I'll leave that one to you, DP. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. The substance use disorder, it includes opioids as well as other substances of use, like as you mentioned, alcohol, cannabis, they are all responsive to this NOFO. So yes, you can apply to this NOFO if you're working with alcohol or cannabis use disorders. Any other question? Please feel free to submit question either with Q&A, or if you'd like to ask directly, we are happy to unmute you. Yeah, I see that there are a couple of more questions coming in. Okay, so the next question I'm going to read. You mentioned for the diversity FOAs, we need to show that our institution has a commitment to promoting diversity in the workforce. Can you elaborate on what this might look like in our application?
Sure. So an important component of your application for both the standard and the diversity awards is letters of institutional support as you as a candidate and in providing an adequate environment for your training. And that includes that they support diversity in their training programs and their diverse candidates. And I'll allow DP to expand on that further if he has.
Yeah, so
more
normally,
specifics.
normally the your institutional research office, so they have all this information on their commitment at institutional level to increase diversity in biomedical workforce. So we would recommend you set up a discussion or meeting with them, take an appointment with your research office and the university or institution where you are, and they will actually guide you. Okay, so the next question is, I was awarded my PhD in April 2020. However, because of COVID pandemic, I did not start my postdoctoral position until July 2020. Do I count my years of experience from my date of PhD award or the date I started my postdoc employment? Do you want me to answer that, Elizabeth?
Please.
Okay. So if you have been awarded in April, but you did not do anything, you had no professional engagement in any organization or any industry, academia, anywhere, but then you started July 2020, then yes, your 48 month will calculate from July 2020. You have to really submit an evidence on that, like you did not have. So remember, if you are continuing, you suppose you got awarded in April 2020, but you are continuing in the same lab to conduct additional experiments to finish your research papers or so, that would actually count towards 48 months. So be very clear, like whether you had no professional assignments or attachment, and you took a break from April to June, and then in July you started. You have to document that very clearly. In that case, your 48-month post calculation will start as July 2020. Okay, so the next question is, what if you have a faculty position already? Elizabeth, go ahead.
Yeah, then you would be ineligible. This is really focused on a training and mentoring component with that K99. So it's for individuals who require that additional time to receive training and mentorship and to go through the application process. So if you have already received and are planning on a independent faculty position, you would be ineligible.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. So the next question is, my question is about eligibility. If by the time of first application, I'm close to 48 months, would I not be eligible to resubmit on next round?
Yes, so the 48 months does count to the resubmission date. So you definitely want to submit as early as possible if you're able to make that resubmission date. We do understand that these are some tight timelines. I anticipate quite a few questions on these, and you can reach out directly if you're having trouble calculating or understanding your specific eligibility.
The next question is, my research is investigating the role of pain sensing neurons in regulating intestinal inflammation. Would it fall into focus of this application, or I believe uh, the person wanted to ask about the NOFO eligibility.
Yes, so we would need to see a little bit more detail about what you're proposing. If you're able to draft us a specific aims, you can send that in for review. Again, this is a very focused funding opportunity for research on pain and substance use disorder within the mission of the NIH Scale Initiative. There are K99s that are funded by institutes and by NIH in general. But please send us some more details of your specific science, and we can help you address the appropriateness for this particular mechanism.
The next question is, I'm sorry if I missed this. Do all the awards need to include clinical studies?
No, so we do have separate NOFOs for independent clinical trial not allowed. So that would not allow any clinical trials except if you wanted to gain experience as part of training. And separate NOFOs if you do have that clinical component. So it's not a requirement.
Okay, so The next question is, yes, okay. I believe it was a confirmation from the previous question about the gap. So yeah, if you are unemployed during that time, then yes, your timeline will start, like the 48-month will start the time you start your first postdoc. Okay, what would count as the proof? Yeah, just write to us about your gap, and we can set up a meeting and we can discuss that. Okay, the next question is it appropriate to submit K99 on organs on a chip with glioblastoma mediated neuroinflammation? Will this with this call, or do I need to reach out to another K99 call?
Yeah, so if your focus is not on pain or substance use disorder, which doesn't seem from this amount of information, but again, you can send us specific aims. There are more general K99s within NINDS and other institutes, and I'm happy to help direct you. It's part of my job as well to direct you to the appropriate funding opportunity. So in any case, you can certainly send me your aims, and I can and connect you with the appropriate mechanism, not just within HEAL.
Yeah, so the next question is this funding opportunity mechanism open to staff scientists who just completed a postdoc in July? Is a staff scientist considered independent faculty already for this?
So there are details in the NOFOs about certain activities that would qualify you as an independent investigator. So you would need to check for those specific characterizations, and your institute should be able to provide the details on what the difference between your position is and a postdoctoral position. So we would need to know a few more details to make that call, but there are some details of that within the NOFO text that you can reference or reach out to us.
Yeah. So the next question is for these NOFOs, which specify promoting diversity, must the candidate themselves meet the criteria for NIH standards for underrepresented minorities, or may application or applicants outside these groups include their efforts to promote diversity among future trainees? There is a diversity statement.
So for this particular funding opportunity, we're looking at the diversity of the looking to enhance the diversity of the workforce itself by promoting that transition from postdoc to junior career faculty. So we are looking for those specific NOFOs 024 and 025 diverse individuals to be applying. However, we love to see diversity activities for all of our applicants, and we do have those two NOFOs 022 and 023 that do not require diversity of the applicant.
Yeah, there is a related question. Is there any other documents to be written for the diversity application, like a diversity statement? That is actually correct. So your institution will submit a diversity statement. So that's why, again, communicate with your institutional research office. So they will guide you on this. And if you are eligible based on their determination, they will direct you how to write, and also they will submit that diversity statement alongside your application.
And I just want to mention that we do not make a determination of anyone's status of diversity. That would come from your institute. So we do not make that determination.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth, for pointing that out. That is really important to know that NIH and the program side, we do not do that, take that judgment call. It's your institution. So the next question, is there any age limit?
No, not for your own age, just the age of your postdoc experience and your research experience.
Yeah, exactly. So next question is going back to a previous question about pain research. If the research is evaluating pain mechanisms, but not evaluating opioids or other drugs or SUDs, is it ineligible for this mechanism?
No, it's definitely within the mission to look at mechanisms of pain so we can develop non-opioid therapeutics. So yes, that just as it's described there would certainly be within the realm of this K99. And again, please send us in your aims and we would love to review them and ensure that they are appropriate.
Okay, so the next question is, if you qualify for the diversity NOFO, is it always better to apply for this funding opportunity rather than general NOFO?
We encourage anybody who identifies as diverse and reaches that component to apply for those opportunities, so that way it can be receiving the appropriate evaluation and attention. You can certainly, for example, if there's a citizenship requirement for the diversity, that makes you ineligible to go to the standard NOFO. But yeah, we would encourage anybody to try for that, to go through that diversity mechanism if you do qualify.
Yeah, that's correct. The next question is, can you clarify the role of IC versus the HEAL? How do we pick an IC?
Sure. So you can make suggestions and try to tailor towards an IC, but all of these awards are paid from centrally the HEAL initiative, but program directors within ICs. So for example, Dr. Mohapatra is a program director with NINDS. So if you were applying within the mission of NINDS, he would hold your application and be your one-on-one contact of program officer. But all the awards will be centrally managed and assigned by HEAL program staff, which is very much an overlap between the ICs. HEAL is this trans NIH inter-IC mission. And so individuals like myself and Dr. Mohapatra and program directors from all of the participating ICs will determine what the appropriate institute is for your award. If you want to speak to somebody from a particular institute to discuss your science, because they would be the experts in that area of science, I'm happy to connect you, or you can see them on one of the slides or listed at the bottom of the NOFO. If you need clarity on any of the answers we're providing, please raise your hand or enter a second question in the chat.
Yeah, I can elaborate a little more. So at this point, you really, as an applicant, you don't have to worry about which IC mission your specific application will fit to. Okay, so irrespective of specific pain condition or disease associated pain with the IC specific interest, just submit here. And once these applications are submitted, they are distributed or assigned to specific ICs based on the interest. But as Elizabeth clearly outlined, there is no role of the ICs in terms of budget and funding decision in that specific area. So it is HEAL initiative, so the budget and the entire program comes through the HEAL. So decisions are made irrespective of in specific ICE specific like pain conditions or ACD conditions. So you don't have to really worry under this these NOFOs. The next question is, how many related first author published papers are needed to support your K99? If the research is ongoing and want to expand the research with K99 call, is it possible to submit? Do you want me to address that, or you can address that?
I'll take an attempt. There's no number of first author publications for any application. Of course, we want to see productivity. We want to see that you have been productive and successful within your research career thus far. But we understand that you're applying early in your K99 phase. So certainly something will be evaluated as your publication history, but we can't give you a hard number on that. As for ongoing work, the assumption in a lot of cases is that your K99 is a continuation of your postdoc work, or is at least inspired by what you've been doing in your postdoc so far. But what's important is that you're able to delineate that from your mentor's research. So if you were to join a lab as a postdoc, really doing research within your mentor's wheelhouse and within their line of research, you want to be able to carve out something that you will be able to take with you independently, and they will you will need to hear that from your mentor in their statements as well as in your statements to ensure that you would be able to have a successful career as an independent researcher separate from your mentor. If DP would like to expand on that, please do.
You already did it so beautifully. So there's nothing to add. Yes, there is no absolute requirement here. The strongest application you put, which will show what's your training, you as a candidate, what's your achievement, expertise so far, and in terms of your K99 phase, what exactly you are missing, so that in terms of training and mentoring, so that it will prepare you during that K99 phase to the transition. That's what you have to really put it very carefully in the K99. Next question. Once we devise a specific aims, as you previously mentioned, who should we reach out to review its applicability to the award, whether I should aim for someone IC specific or someone more specific for the HEAL program. So Elizabeth already told multiple times, you can reach out to us, her, me, or any of the program officials. You can see the screen here. So these are the list of program officials within these HEAL NOFOs. So you can reach to any of us.
We
Okay,
really
so
do work as a team on this project. And so if you were to contact one of us directly and we didn't feel that we could appropriately evaluate, we would reach out to the appropriate expert. So wherever you want to start is totally acceptable. And if we need additional help, we will make sure that we have it.
yeah. So the next question is, can we include bioarchives preprints in our application?
Yes, anything that you've submitted, published, you really want to highlight your productivity and your experience.
Yeah, and make sure you are not including like preprint in the application. You're just referring
Referencing
to
it, yes.
results. Yeah, results, as well as you can put it in your bio sketch as the publication or upcoming publication. That's absolutely allowed. But do not. I have seen actually applications where people try to attach it next to the list of references. It gets flagged. So do not do that. Okay. The next question is it okay to apply if I'm eligible, if I'm being funded by F99K00 at the time of submission?
I don't actually know about that specific. So you can have, I know, an F32 at the time, and you would need to address that in your application that's listed in the NOFO. But DP, do you know if there's specific conflict with the F99K00 mechanism?
That's a good question. I think as far as I know, you are eligible, but the best thing would be just write to us, give us your F99K00 award number. We can reach out to our F99K00 office and then make sure that we give you the accurate information for your eligibility. Yeah, please write to us. Okay, the next question, is there any limit to the number of awards each year?
So we don't have a specific number of awards. It's contingent on HEAL appropriations and budgets. So we are not limited. We're really looking for great applications. So that we can't give you a specific number, but we are accepting of all applications and really hopeful that we can get many, many wonderful ones funded.
Okay, so the next question is, of the note of ICs, is it advisable to reach out to multiple IC contacts if there are multiple potentially relevant to the proposal?
I mean, if you want to, but I think it would be simpler to just reach out to one and establish that relationship with one particular program officer who can help you with your application. And again, it's probably appropriate to start with myself or DP, and we can make that call as to which IC would be most appropriate. Sometimes there is research that falls within the mission of multiple, and so we would get input, but if you want the input, but it's definitely not necessary, and don't put that on you to go through that effort. If it's within the mission of HEAL, then we will find a home for it.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of communicating with IC staff, I think the best way is just communicate to either the program official of IC where you think it is the best fit. And if you're not sure, just communicate with Elizabeth and me. We can discuss and then direct you to what would be the really good fitting IC, and we can connect you to the PO there. Okay, the next question is, if I'm proposing human subject experiments but not clinical trials, which award type would be appropriate? CT not allowed version?
Yes, so you just want to make sure that you are not proposing a clinical trial. And so there's a link on one of the slides to an NIH website where there's a few questions you can answer that will help you determine if your study falls within a clinical trial. And if it does, we are only accepting BESH, so those basic fundamental studies. And so you can certainly reach out to us with your aims and what you're working on to help you determine if that would qualify as BESH or if it's just experiments using human tissues or things like that, we can determine if that's appropriate. But we cannot take standard clinical trials like therapeutic development and things like that.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so the next question is, for the R00 part of the grant, do we need to include preliminary data as well? That's a good question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we would, generally like to see feasibility for the K99 phase, but for the R00, it's very hard to know what you're really going to be able to do. And so I would say I'll let DP give the final answer, but I would certainly say that preliminary data for something that far in the future is not necessarily required.
Yeah, you absolutely do not need preliminary data to support everything. But remember, you have to really show enough preliminary data or previous findings or stronger rationale in the literature to really back up your R00 plan, because the reviewers will look into the feasibility side. So preliminary data serves in two ways. One is to provide strong rationale for your proposed plan or for your hypothesis, but also provides feasibility, whether it is feasible or not. You might have a really great question with a great research design, but it's not feasible based on your prior training, based on your research environment, based on your collaborators or mentors. If you're proposing something, no one has done it. No, so reviewers will assess that accordingly. So when you are putting your preliminary data, you're considering to put your preliminary data for your K99 and R00, make sure your design requires or doesn't require or requires to what extent the preliminary data. So we are happy to discuss on this. If you send us your specific aims and plans, we can set up a meeting and discuss on that. The next question is, how do you apply for an extension due to family or health issues?
So you will reach out to program staff. So a great one to start with is DP. You want to do this about at least 12 weeks before submission. So if it's for childbirth, you'll need to provide the date of birth of the child you're given 1 year from birth. Otherwise, just communicate with your program staff and provide that justification to them to allow accepting the application.
Yeah, and also one good resource to go through is this NIH notice, which you can see on your screen right now, the NOTOD 20031. So that can provide you some more information. And I would recommend also go to the like K99 R00 parent program from NIH. So in the parent announcement, they have links to like how you can apply for an extension, whom should you apply. So those informations are also included there. But as Elizabeth told, like just communicate with us. We can set up a meeting and go over those with you.
And I'll include more links to the parent opportunity and additional information when I send out the slides for everyone.
Yeah, that'll be great. Thanks, Elizabeth. The next question is, can you confirm that applicants from intramural program of NIH can apply? I know this is the case for IC-specific K awards. Does the same apply for HEAL?
Yep, so intramural is eligible to apply. There's differences in how those awards are paid, but you are eligible for this opportunity.
I do not see any additional questions at this time. If there are additional questions, please feel free to raise your hand, or we can unmute you, or we can allow you to talk.
So if you don't want to pose your question here, please feel free to follow up with any of us at any time. We have several more years on this funding opportunity. So as you encounter this in the future, please do not hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for.
And I always, I'm just echoing what Elizabeth told. I always tell this to trainees, the first and the most important rule you should remember if you are trying to become a independent faculty or PI is how fast, how soon you connect with NIH program people. That's extremely important. So whenever you have an idea, you have a concrete idea, you are trying to see where it would fit, what type of mechanisms, funding mechanisms you can have, or if you know a mechanism, you want feedback on where to apply, please communicate with us. The sooner you communicate, the better it is. Okay, I see another question just coming in. So can you please just confirm that resubmission must still be within 4 years? This is my understanding.
Yes, correct. So that date of resubmission would need to be within your 4-year window.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Any other questions? Please feel free to put the question there, or if you want to ask directly, we are happy to allow you to talk. We'll give it another minute or so. We have time. So in case you have question, please type or please raise your hand. We will unmute you. Any questions? And again, don't feel shy. And again, if you have no question right now, you cannot think of, but you might have questions moving forward, feel free to write to us anytime. We'll be happy to address questions and we can set up a discussion with you. Okay.
How many postdocs? So we don't have a specified number, or, so it will really depend on meritorious applications and the HEAL budget, which does vary from year to year. So unfortunately, we can't give you a specific answer to that question, but we are looking forward to awarding our first awards soon. So I'm excited to be able to share our first applicants and our first awards when that does happen.
Yeah, so that's the case for HEAL initiative. But in case you're interested to know, normally NIH awards how many K99s for postdocs, you can go to NIH Reporter and then do a search. It's a public facing website, so it will give you actually the a total number and list of all the awardees. Of course, you cannot get the list of number of applications. If you are trying to look into the success rate of application versus awards, that you cannot find, like the application numbers you cannot find, but the number of awards, total awards, you can always find it in NIH Reporter. And since I just brought in the NIH Reporter issue, you all can actually benefit and utilize the NIH Reporter. There is a feature called Matchmaker in NIH Reporter. So whenever you are ready with your specific aims page or even an abstract, go to the Matchmaker. They have a box there. Paste your specific aims page or abstract, and then hit find similar grants, or then it'll give you a list of similar grants. But also it can give you 3 other data. One is what type of grant mechanism it fits to, then which institutes, NIH institutes, are funding similar type of grants, and then the third thing is what type of study sections or review panels review these kind of applications. And then below, you can get a list of applications which are funded. And my suggestion always is go and look into the abstracts of those funded grants. Those are the public abstract you can always see. And if you look into 8 to 10 abstracts, you can already generate a feeling like what type of writing, what type of flow of information really goes well, because these are funded grants. So all those, what you'll see are funded grants. That means those are successful grants applications. So look into their abstract and find your PETA. Okay, any other question? I did not see any other question there. So yeah, we can conclude, Elizabeth.
Thank you all for joining. Just give us a few days to process the recording and add the transcript, and then I'll send out the slides and some of those additional resources that we talked about to everybody who registered, and feel free to share that with anybody you know who might be interested in this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you all, and thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you.